Testing. Good morning. I just found out I'm starting the program and I'm enjoying getting to be Ricky today. So thank you, Ricky. Well, welcome and happy Thanksgiving. And speaking of that, I'm going to give my announcements first, and that is that I will be away next week for vacation. Yay. Um, But Keisha will be teaching water aerobics Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Alex will be here on Tuesdays for Zumba. So give those classes a try if you're missing class and you don't normally try those. Also, speaking of water aerobics, I just finished taking a class on bar and Pilates in the pool. So as soon as I can figure out where to put that class on my schedule, which I am open to suggestions, that class will get started. I'm really excited about it. It will not be the cardiovascular workout you get from the normal water aerobics. Instead, we will be working strength training, balance, and a lot of posture and core control. So please get ready to give that class a try. Also, we have our last hike. It's going to be not this Monday, but the next, and we're going to be going to Gregory Park if the weather holds and it's not too muddy. But if it is muddy, we will just have an alternate plan, so still plan on joining us Monday. And that's all that I have. I don't know who's speaking next. Ricky.
So, good morning. I think I'll just be Jennifer for the moment. We appreciate Jennifer so much. She really has us fit and healthy, right? Absolutely. Quick announcements. We do have a guest speaker today. Fulbright Friday is scheduled for the convocation room. We had to make a room change. So 3 o'clock in the convocation room today. Monday the 21st, I'll put a plug in for the Butterfield Recycling Team. There's a virtual presentation by Happy Hollow Recycling Center. So that's 9 a.m. here in the hall Monday morning. And I think you probably want to listen in on that because Butterfield is really gearing up and doing more with recycling and working with the city. The December calendars will be out probably next week. There are so many things, I can't even start to mention them, but I'll do some highlights. We have our annual Butterfield Christmas party Friday, December 9th from 6 to 9. This will require a sign up by residents and Carriage Club. We think we should be able to accommodate anyone that wants to attend this fabulous party. It's going to be delicious food, wonderful music, performed by a band from Tulsa, and we'll have a photo booth, and it'll just be a really fun night. So we hope you can join us. But I would like to remind you, when we have these huge events and we have to pre-order food, we base it on the number of people that are on the sign-up sheet. So, if you need to cancel, please make note of the cancellation date. If you are a no-show but you signed up, there will be a fee charged to your monthly service fee, unfortunately. But we just have to make sure that our costs are covered and be responsible in that manner. If there's something health-wise that comes up, that obviously is an exception, and just give me a call and we'll work something out. And so, next announcement, ugly sweater contest. How many of you have an ugly sweater? Good to know. Well, we're going to have a contest that's going to be at our Take 5 Tuesday. So if you don't have an ugly sweater, make one. Or go to the Salvation Army or Goodwill and buy one for $3. And then we're going to have a wonderful program. It's called Christmas Around the World, where we will have a display and music of traditions from all over this globe. And the representation that we'll have from Germany will be excerpts from the Ozark Ballet Theater's performance of the Nutcracker. So just a really fun afternoon. And just if you have any questions about any of the programs, please give me a call. But if it requires a sign up, I suggest you sign up early and then make a note of what you signed up for. Okay. I am so happy to welcome back someone that I've known for many, many years. From the Walton Arts Center, Jennifer Ross is the Vice President of Programming, and she is a core staff member at the Walton Arts Center and is so excited to come talk to you about upcoming performances. And I think we have a little film to show. So, Jennifer, it's so nice to have you back at Butterfield Trail Village.
Thank you. I wore my own ugly sweater today. This is actually my dad's sweater that I stole from him probably 20 years ago. I'm not sure he knows I have it or that he recognizes it and knows that it's his. So we're just not going to talk about that. Like Ricky said, I'm Jennifer Ross. I am now the Vice President of Programming at Walton Arts Center. I've been there for 20 years this year, so it's sort of my home away from home. My son was 2 years old when I started working at Walton Arts Center, so it's kind of like his playground. He grew up running around in the halls and in the house, and it's really fun to be here to talk to y'all today. Here with me is my colleague Mallory Barker. She's our Community Outreach Coordinator and also my moral support. We're really happy to have this opportunity. I want to run through a couple of programs that we have, and I wrote a big long script, like 25 minutes, because I wasn't really sure how long I needed to talk, so I may talk faster than I usually do, and I'll enunciate as well as I can. So our classroom series performances began very soon after our doors opened 30 years ago. And through our classroom series and our advocacy efforts, we work to provide every student in Northwest Arkansas access to arts field trips and/or arts integrated learning. Our two major teacher training programs are the SMART Residency and the Awe Institute. The SMART Residency is a year-long professional development residency supporting teachers who include the arts across their own curriculum in order to teach students better ways to achieve literacy and collaboration goals. The Arts with Education Institute prepares teachers to use the arts to teach across the curriculum in a more engaging way. And our current focus is literacy, social studies, and classroom management. Walton Arts Center volunteers are a dedicated group of individuals who commit their time, talent, and resources to maintaining the arts in our community. And I know that a lot of people here at Butterfield are volunteers for us, and I thank all of you for your service. Our volunteers supports virtually every aspect of our operation with thousands of hours of service every year. Volunteers serve in many different capacities at Walton Arts Center, including front of house for public and school performances, with studio and education outreach, special events, and also in our administrative building in administrative capacities. We certainly could not accomplish all we do without our amazing volunteers. So let's talk about some shows. Coming up December 2nd and 3rd is Million Dollar Quartet Christmas. Travel back in time with us to 1956 Memphis Sun Studios, where four young men are gathered around a piano. What happens next is really anyone's guess, but in this particular show, they're going to sing their favorite hits as well as some Christmas songs. Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash, the Million Dollar Quartet. We're really excited to have this show kicking off the holiday season. Jumping into January now, Menopause the Musical is exactly what you'd think it would be. It follows four mature women shopping for lingerie in Bloomingdale's, and the lyrics to the songs parody music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and will have you dancing in your seat. It's an excellent girlfriend's night out, or for a very loving and nurturing spouse who went through it maybe with you. Following that, the 10 by 10 series is a series of shows. All tickets are $10. It's 10 shows, $10 tickets. We couldn't do any of that without the support of our funders and our underwriters. And you'll notice on this one, Tom and Jill King, you may know, are underwriters for the Five Browns. So our 10 by 10 series is really important to us. It's a way for people to access the arts who may find that some of our other ticket prices are barriers to come into the building. The Five Browns are five siblings. They all went to Juilliard School. So imagine 5 concert grand pianos on stage, 50 fingers. It is tremendous. It's really a spectacle. They perform individually. They also perform in duos and trios. And they also arrange their own 10-hand arrangements. And their music is absolutely stunning. You don't want to miss that show. Making sure I'm catching up with myself or keeping up with myself. Tootsie is next on our Broadway series in January. This contemporary story-driven musical comedy is based on the 1982 film that starred Dustin Hoffman, Gina Davis, and Bill Murray. It follows an actor on the theater stage instead of an actor in a soap opera, but it's essentially the same story. It's absolutely laugh-out-loud funny. It's the funniest thing that I've seen in the theater in a really long time, and I hadn't laughed so hard since I saw The Play That Goes Wrong, if you remember that one. Time for Three is later on in January. Time for Three defies convention and boundaries, and they stand at the busy intersection of Americana, modern pop, and classical music. We've had them twice before on our series, back in 2011 and 12, and also in 13-14. So it's been almost 10 years since we've had them on our stage. The trio is Renan Meyer on double bass, Nick Kendall on violin, and their new member replacing Zach DePue is Charles Yang on violin and ukulele. They have a new album out on Deutsche Grammophon called Letters for the Future with the Philadelphia Orchestra conducted by Jean Zhang, and it was just nominated yesterday for a Grammy in the Best Classical Instrumental Solo category. So we're thrilled to have them on the series. Next up, the music of Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come, starring Brad Marquis. That's at the end of January. This fantastic show depicts the life and music of one of America's most iconic and talented performers, the legendary Sam Cooke. It's a rip-roaring, soulful performance brought to you by Brad Marquis and a 10-piece live band. Sam Cooke pioneered soul by melding elements of R&B, gospel, and pop into the sound that was new and still coalescing at the time. His pioneering contributions to soul music led to the rise of Aretha Franklin, Al Green, Curtis Mayfield, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, and also popularized the likes of Otis Redding and James Brown. Moulin Rouge is the next show on our Broadway series after that, and it's a theatrical celebration of truth, beauty, freedom, and above all else, love. It's a jukebox musical of the highest order, featuring 70 songs credited to over 160 songwriters. The Baz Luhrmann's revolutionary film, which you may have seen, comes to life on stage, remixed in a new musical mashup extravaganza of Paris in the 1890s. The show follows the same story as La Traviata in a very 1890s meets disco way. The show was nominated for 14 Tony Awards and won 10 awards, including Best Musical. It's visually stunning and musically eclectic and very, very fun. It's a great night out. April 1st, we'll be presenting New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players' The Pirates of Penzance. Now in its 48th year of operation, the New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players is America's preeminent professional Gilbert and Sullivan repertory ensemble. This masterpiece of musical theater is presented in its original format, featuring Gilbert's incisive wit and Sullivan's memorable score performed by a full orchestra. Don't miss your chance to see this opulent, colorful, and inventive and beautifully crafted performance of The Pirates of Penzance. And since you'll notice the 10 by 10 logo, tickets are only $10. Visceral Dance Chicago will be coming in April. It's the first time that we will have presented this wonderful company. They are currently in their 10th anniversary season, and I had, almost a year ago, a chance to see them in their new performing space in Chicago. They're a fantastic company. They are known for their exceptional technicality, diversity, versatility, and athleticism. In Chicago, Visceral Dance performs over 25 times a year, and they provide educational programming to a whole slew of young people learning the craft. Like I said, April 2023 will be the first time that Northwest Arkansas will have the chance to see this company, and we're also excited that we'll be engaging them with community members, with the university students, and also with some high school dance students. We'll be presenting a weekend of Annie at the 1st of May. Holding on to hope when times get tough can take an awful lot of determination, and sometimes an awful lot of determination is packaged into very small packages. Little Orphan Annie has reminded generations of theater goers that sunshine is always right around the corner, and it's the best loved musical of all time. It's directed by Jen Thompson. It has a brand new production, and we're really excited to bring this celebration of family, optimism, and the American spirit. Hadestown is the last show on our Broadway season this year, and this is, I'm just going to say it up front, my favorite musical of all time so far. There's a lot more to see, I'm sure. Hadestown is a story of Orpheus and Eurydice, Hades and Persephone. It intertwines their stories together in a New Orleans jazzy way. It's really fantastic. Music and lyrics were written by Anais Mitchell, and it's the first time in 10 years and only the fourth time in Broadway history that a woman was credited with writing the entire musical. So music, lyrics, and the book of the musical were all written by Anais Mitchell. The show won 8 Tony Awards, including Best Musical in 2019. It also won the 2020 Grammy Award for Best Musical Theater Album. Like I said, it's my favorite. It's a fantastic show. Finally, Artistry Festival Orchestra. I'm going to make it my 10 minutes. Artistry Festival Orchestra will return in May of 2023. We're thrilled that we were just able to announce their 4 concerts. Their programs are fully listed on our website, but we'll have 3 orchestra performances, 2 in Baumwalker Hall. One on our 10 by 10 series is an evening of Brahms and Beethoven. The other in Baumwalker Hall is Respighi's Roman Trilogy on Saturday, May the 20th. The Dover Quartet will be performing at Crystal Bridges Great Hall on Wednesday, May the 17th. And then AFO's Live from Crystal Bridges, Mozart in the Museum will be Wednesday, May 24th. And like I said, all those programs are listed on our website, and you can find lots more information there. That's waltonartscenter.org. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great job, Jennifer. Thank you so much. So as a reminder, if you purchase tickets to the Broadway shows, Butterfield provides transportation opening night. So be looking for those to appear on your calendar of events. If there are shows that you would like to see but are not on the Butterfield calendar, let me know. Sometimes we can prearrange transportation for 5 or more. And the Coca-Cola and 10 by 10 series would be a good example of some of those performances. Thank you so much for highlighting the program.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kelly Sire with the marketing office, and my announcements will be really quick and mostly come in the form of a thank you. Thank you to all of you who participated in the Samaritan Shop drive that we did earlier this week to collect clothing, housewares, furniture, all sorts of items. You all just really showed up well, and we had piles, literal piles of things that we were able to load up in 2 of their trucks to take to their Springdale shop and to their Rogers shop. So I just wanted to, make sure that you know what a difference that these donations make. And I was especially excited to see so many coats that came in because, as we've gone into this really tough cold snap, knowing that the Samaritan shops actually pass along some of those items at no cost to some of their clients. Thank you for making those coats available. There were some beautiful items that you brought, and I think it's so important that people who are struggling also have beautiful items. It shouldn't just be those of us who have the means to get exactly what we want anytime we want them. So thank you. One thing that definitely came about from the collection period of time was people saying, can we please do this again? And the same exact thing was said to me by the folks from the Samaritan organization, can we please do this again in the spring? So look for some announcements to probably try to do something in April, and we'll time it so it'll be a great opportunity for some spring cleaning and clear out some space and freshen up your residences, but we'll make sure that you know all about when that is happening, and the process for collection will be very similar to what we did this time. So thank you so much. The other thing I want to mention is another good news item. Many of you who are email users should have received a little e-blast from me that's talking about the fact that we have again been nominated and are in the voting period with the Northwest Arkansas Democrat Gazette's Best of Northwest Arkansas competition. We are again nominated in the areas of best retirement community and best independent living. And this is a voting competition because it's allowing the community to select the best of. So if you received the email that I sent, there's direct links. All you have to do is just click and it takes you straight to a page, and you just hit two little buttons and it clicks both of those votes for you. You can do this every single day, only one time a day. And the opportunity to vote will be open through the 9th of December. So we have quite a few days to do this, and you can just keep sending your votes in. We've actually even put it on some of our calendars so that it reminds us every morning to go into that website and click on it. If you didn't get the emailed information about this and want to be able to participate and use a computer, then just reach out to me and ask, and I'm happy to provide you with the computer link so that you can do that very simply. So thank you in advance for all of you who are willing to help vote for Butterfield and make sure that we continue to be recognized for all the wonderful things that we do. Thanks so much, and happy Thanksgiving.
I'm Joe Permy, Director of Facility Services. With the concern there's been with the timelines and costs for several renovations this year, Quentin's going to have more information, but I just wanted to share a little bit of the background of what we're dealing with and what we've accomplished. Of course, when COVID hit, in-person tours stopped for the protection of everyone, staff and residents. Marketing did a wonderful job trying to do virtual tours, but obviously it's not the same, right? So when that lifted and we began in-person tours again, all of a sudden we had an influx. So this year, a mass influx of people wanting to move in and units to be done and taken care of. This swamped marketing. They did a great job keeping up. Kudos to Dave Marks. He was juggling up to 17 units at a time with residents' requests, selections, timelines, cost. A tremendous amount of work to keep up with, stressful to keep up with, which in turn gave construction 12 to 17 units at a time to undertake. Now, that's a challenge normally, but when you add in our material issues, flooring, paint, cabinet materials, shower doors, and tile, plus the labor shortage that has seemed to won't go away right now, was an extra challenge. Then you add in the maintenance items of a 35-year-old plus building. That was difficult. This is not a sob story, but just so you understand, during this time period, I think most of you know, lost all management help in facilities and renovations for a few months. So that filled me serving in as facilities director, assistant facilities director, construction coordinator, and office manager. So with all this being said, though, by the end of the year, we will have completed 30 renovations, the majority of which were larger units, village homes, large apartments, cottages. I am not taking credit for this. Again, it's marketing, facilities, the contractors and vendors we have that were doing double time because they couldn't get materials and help as they needed them. With that being said, we realize we still need to speed it up. I mean, that's a big accomplishment, but we want to do the best job we can for you and to be good at our jobs. So we've been adding manpower to existing crews as we can find people. Again, that's been a very hard challenge. We are also having additional contractors look at renovations. This is a two-edged sword. It takes the work off the plate of our normal contractors and vendors, but it also, because they're not familiar with Butterfield, we have to watch cost and timelines with them because those both seem to grow when you bring somebody in trying to learn our setup and how we do things and the new aspect of that. And I lost my notes. My phone closed. I'm talking too long, apparently. And also, keep in mind, it doubles the work for marketing and myself managing these contractors because we do things a certain way here. So we're having to retrain and kind of babysit. Again, everybody involved in this process, Quentin's leadership in trying to help us streamline it has been very beneficial. We've made some accomplishments. Cody's been great as a help to me, especially coming in when we were so far behind. So that being said, I just want you all to know that everyone involved with this works as hard to do the best jobs they can do, and we really do want to be good at our jobs. It's just been a really hard challenge this past year. So that being said, Quentin, I believe, has some more information on renovations. So the water pressure. There are mysteries in life. We have what they call tattletale gauges. They're not giving us the information we hope, so it's a gauge that records water pressure. We have it on the city side where they come in, trying to make sure it's not their problem. We have it on our side after that. We have it at our water softener system, so hopefully that's not it, and we have it at the boilers. We're trying to get enough information to decide where the problem is, and as soon as we do, we can definitely address it. We have Carl Holly Plumbing, very established, very smart plumbers. They've been at this, 2 or 3 generations now. They're the ones that set the gauges up for us. As soon as they can tell us why or where, we can jump on it. We're 90% sure it's not on the city's end, but we don't have enough to verify that. And if it's not there, we don't have information to get where it's at in our system. So it's difficult, like I said. We've reached out to them for any other solutions also, if they can come up with anything in addition to putting those gauges on to help us get this found out faster. So so do different areas have different pressures, was the question? What we're seeing is we're not losing total pressure because it's mainly third floor. Most of the reports where it has to push the water up to the third floor are coming from third floor. There's a few on second. First seems to be consistent. So it's not like something's totally shutting off. For some reason, pressure is dropping that affects the pushing up to the second and third floor. Yes, he mentioned he's on the second floor, pressure goes up and down. Do other people have that problem? Yes, and that's why it's hard to diagnose. If we all off pressure at once, we could probably find it a whole lot easier. It's the fact that it's coming and going. Yeah, there's a chance it's the pressure regulator, but that is a very expensive item to replace, and it's only 2 years old, so that's why we're trying to verify before we shut down overnight and replace that piece of equipment. Okay. Okay, so she mentioned she has it happen on first floor, so there's new information, kind of confuses things a little more, but but we need that. We need that because. Okay, yeah, it's campus wide because we went after anything that could be just one end or the other because the report started on the north end first, so we examined all that. But now it's affected both. First floor south. Okay. All right. Well, I will be calling the plumbers again and giving them the additional information. So, okay. Thank you.
Whose iPad is this? Do we know? Ours? Okay. Yeah. Well, everybody else is up here with their phones and their iPads, and I've got my outline here. Pretty low tech, so. Of course, I'm an old dinosaur, and we all know what happened to the dinosaurs. So, I've got some things I'd like to go over, and then Helen's going to also tag team with me at the end of our presentation to go over some information on COVID and the flu. But I need to ask all the residents of Butterfield to do me a favor. Myself and some of my staff have noticed residents really seem to be on edge lately. I don't know if y'all have noticed that. If a lot of people just are on edge, and I want to ask you, just everything's okay. You're retired. Enjoy your retirement. The holidays are coming up. Let's go enjoy the holidays with your friends. And I don't know if it's the weather changing or maybe just the time change, or it gets dark earlier. But residents do lately seem to be just really on edge, and that stresses me out some too. So I'm kind of on edge because you're kind of on edge. But we're here to help, and like the government, we're here to help. But no, we really are trying to help, and everything's okay. We've got some issues, as we always have, but I think Butterfield's a great place to be, and I hope you do too. And I just wanted to make that comment. But the comments that I hear kind of center around 3 different areas. One is our apartment renovations. The second one is dining, and then the third was some recent developments on the monthly fee increase. And I want to touch on each one of those just a little bit. So on our apartment renovations, what we do is a resident will unfortunately sometimes pass away, or will go to assisted living or go to health care. And when they're declared, if they go to health care assisted living, they become permanent in health care assisted living. At that point in time, their unit becomes vacated, or, well, maybe I used the wrong term. At that point in time, their unit becomes open in our books. The resident has 30 days to move their stuff out of the apartment and turn in the keys. So once they have the apartment vacated and turn in the keys, then the unit goes on our construction list. So one of the things we've noticed is many of the residents at town forum and things kept saying, well, we got like 21, 22 units open. And I'm like, well, no, we don't. We've got 15 on our construction list. Well, as it turns out, both of those are actually correct. We do have, 20, 22 units open because people have went to healthcare permanently, but they haven't vacated their unit yet. So we haven't put them on our construction list yet. So that's why our construction list says like 15 units, but I know at Forum they'll say we have 19 units or 20 units. I'm going, no, we don't, but there's only 15 on our construction. Well, we're talking about two different types of measurements and two different types of lists. So Wolf Polonius and I, because he kept saying, we have 19. And I said, no, we don't. We've only got 15. See, here's the list. He said, well, no, they said 19. Well, it turns out both are correct. So Wolf was correct, and I was too. We're just looking at, once again, different lists. So that explains how we have some discrepancy in one data versus a different type of data. But anyway, when the unit is open and the keys are turned in to the front desk, we put it on our construction list. At that point in time, we go into the unit and we evaluate what needs to be done inside that unit to bring it up to the Butterfield standard that we have set. For example, we do can lights, granite countertops, crown molding, the flooring, the laminate flooring, and so on. So once we say, okay, here's what needs to be done to that unit, then marketing goes and sells the unit, and that information is conveyed to the new resident that's buying the unit or taking the unit. Of course, they get to pick their flooring and some colors. And then we're ready to start. Once all that's settled, it's sent to Joe. Joe then writes the construction specifications and the schedule, and then that is turned over to our contractors who then perform the work. So you can see there's a process we've got to go through here, and that process sometimes is somewhat lengthy, and unfortunately we're trying to cut it down, but sometimes it can run pretty lengthy. Joe's a one-man shop, and he's got a lot on his plate, and getting these construction schedules done often takes time. It's not a simple matter of somebody turns in their keys today at 10 o'clock this morning, so at 11 o'clock we just tell the contractor, just get in there and start work. We've got to determine what has to be done and what we need to do, and then the new resident coming in gets to pick their selections, and that usually takes some time, and then Joe has to write all the specifications, and then we have to get ready to start construction. So there's a process we go through, and we manage it as quickly as we can to try to keep the units down. Now, one of the things we started this summer is we started to not allow any additional customizations beyond the Butterfield standard. In the past, we've allowed people to basically just do anything they wanted, any type of customization inside the apartment that they wanted to do. They were paying for it, and we would figure up the cost, and they would have to pay for it. So you say, well, what's the problem if they're paying for it? Well, the problem is it delays, it takes longer to do the unit when we do customizations beyond our schedule. And when you delay one unit, you delay every unit that's on the list after that one unit. Now, let me just make up a fictitious example. So let's say we've got 15 units on our list, and that's what we got as of Wednesday. So let's say every unit wants customizations, which is they wouldn't, but let's just say they do. And let's say that every customization we have to do in every unit is going to delay the unit being finished by 2 weeks. So if you're in the first unit that's being done, that unit's going to be delayed being finished by 2 weeks. Well, the second unit is not going to be started. It's delayed for 2 weeks. Plus, then its customizations would do 2 more weeks. So now that unit is 4 weeks past the time it would normally finish, and then so on down the list. So if you're in unit 15, you're delayed 30 weeks. That's over 6 months. So obviously, we can't have this, so we've got to shorten this time frame. So we made the hard decision back in July that we're going to stop allowing additional customizations and go up to our standard, and that's what we'll do because we can get the units simply done faster. Now our standard is pretty darn good, so we're not out selling substandard units here. We have granite countertops and crown molding and various things. So our standard that we're bringing up to is a very nice standard that people can be proud of. They still get to pick their colors and things like this. But if they want a wall moved or extra stuff done, we generally are no longer allowing that, especially right now while we're so far behind. Now here's where you can help me again. When you talk to your friends, many people talk to people that live here at Butterfield who had this customization done, and they say, wow, I can get all this stuff done in my unit like my friend here at Butterfield did. So they show up at marketing thinking they're going to get all this customization done, and we have to tell them no. And what that does is that puts us off on a bad, we start off on the bad foot to start with, the wrong foot, the bad play, you know what I'm saying. We start off bad to start with, and then we have to try to repair that damage, so to speak. So if you would, just be aware we have changed our procedures since many of you moved in, and the purpose of this is to try to get the units done and get our occupancy level back up to a level that we want. So there's been a lot of talk about how slow we've been and we're not getting them done, and that really just isn't true. We've got a long list, unfortunately, longer than we normally want, but when I always laugh at myself because being an accountant, the old saying is figures don't lie, but liars figure. So I spend all my day figuring. So what does that mean? But let's look at some figures. What does the data tell us? Because we all do have our opinions. We can all have our opinions, and our opinions are what they are. So we all know what opinions are. But let's look at the data. What does the data tell us? We keep a spreadsheet that goes back, and a spreadsheet just a bunch of accounting numbers. We go back for 13 years, or this year and 12 years prior. It's 13 years total. And we track just specific data that we feel is important to track, so we can see how well we're doing compared to prior history. When I look back at the last 12 years, the average number of units that we've completed construction on in any 1 year is 30. Now I've got to read some numbers, so I've got my glasses on here. We've completed this year, or on track to complete this year, 30. So we're just average. Well, of course, my intention is never to be average. One of my sayings is my staff has to hear a lot of my sayings is, in the middle of the highway, you find yellow lines and dead skunk. So, I don't want to be either one. So average is akin to me of being in the middle of the road, and I don't want to be a yellow line or dead skunk, so I don't want to be average. But we're average this year. It's not a stellar year. The stellar year we had, the highest year of any year we had was in 2017, and we did 39 units in 2017. 2019 was a close year, and we did 37. It's not a bad year either. The worst year we had, ironically, was 2011, which was 22 units. And then last year, 2021, was 23 units. So I'm not sure why the 10-year difference there, but we keep seeing that. I keep seeing that pop up in the data. But when you look at our entry fees in the last 12 years, our average entry fees is $4.8 million. This year we're going to get $4.8 million. I mean, we're just right on average. I wish we were a lot better, but average is still not a bad place to be, but not the best place. Our stellar year, highest year was, as you would imagine, was 2017 at $6.7 million. Our lowest year, as you would imagine, was also 2011 at $3 million. Don't know what happened in 2011, but anyway, when you look at the numbers, we're having an average year. So you think, okay, well, if we're having an average year, why is our list so long? Well, our list is long because we've gotten behind and we're trying to get caught up. So why did we get behind? Well, and that's kind of a sensitive topic, but the reason we got behind, in all honesty, is we've had more deaths over the last number of years than we've been completing units and getting people moved into Butterfield. And while that is painful to say, that's what it amounts to. So we've had a lot of units come open, and we haven't been able to get them filled quite as quickly as we'd like. which goes to the reason why we stopped the customizations that I talked about earlier when we stopped that back in the summer. So we had a number of units. Of course, we had 14, 15 units that was under construction. We'd already sold that with these customizations. We've worked through most of those. I think we're finishing those up. So the new units we're just getting ready to start is just bringing them up to our standard. So we hope the speed this process up and try to get caught up on our units. As Joe mentioned, our current crew, Kenny Moeller and his crew, has brought in some extra help, and we're trying to get a second crew. We have been actively seeking for months a second crew, have had troubles finding a second crew. Joe has met. We finally got the specifications written, the selections from the residents, and we were able to meet with one contractor, gave them the specifications. They are reviewing it to see if they want to submit a bid and how much that bid will be, and when they can start the construction. I've reached out to a contractor that I know, and yeah, I might think about it. I don't know. We normally don't do that kind of work, but let me think about it, and I'll get back with you next week to see if we want to do it, and then we might come by and look at it. That's what we're getting from the contractors we're calling. This isn't a matter of we're just sitting on our duff. We just don't want to call them. We're actively seeking. We've met with one. We've got Joe. Did that other one ever come by? No, we got another one that's supposed to come by, but he hasn't had time to get by. So, if you're a contractor in Northwest Arkansas and you don't have a ton of work to do and you're not booked out for the next 6 months, I'm kind of wondering, do we really want to use that contractor? Maybe we need to check their references really close before we do. We've used outside contractors in the past, and in all honesty, it has not been a real positive experience. Generally speaking, we find they take a little longer and cost quite a little bit more money than what we could have done it internally, and sometimes the quality of work is not there. That's, of course, why we don't use those contractors anymore, and that's why we prefer to do it with our own in-house people. However, we have gotten behind. Another reason we've been behind is we've had an unusually large number of large units come open. As you can imagine, it takes a lot longer to do a village home than it does a one-bedroom. And for some reason, we have had predominantly, probably half or more of our list this year is larger apartments, which is great for our wait list because we had a lot of people waiting on these larger apartments, but it also takes a lot more time to get these units done, and it is also a lot more costly. But anyway, the reason I bring all this up is, we're doing the best we can. We're working through it. It's not a catastrophe. I had one person say, oh, this is a catastrophe. Well, no, it's not. Is it what we want? No. Do we want to do better? Yes. Are we trying to do better? Yes. But is it a catastrophe? No, it's not. So anyway, that's my spill on construction. So if that's causing you angst and keeping you up at night, please, we're working our process. Trust us. I've never claimed to be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I hope I'm not the village idiot either. So, Vernon, you had a question or a comment? Okay. The question is there was a name put up on the door and then nobody moved in and then it was taken down. The answer is I have no idea. I just have to look and get back with you. So, yeah. Well, the next area I hear a lot about is dining, and there was a comment made that dining is horrible. Well, it could be better, and I recognize that. I've heard you loud and clear. Now, here's what's going on with dining. As of October 31st, well, let me start again. Food cost has dramatically increased for all across the board on virtually everything we buy. Eggs, something like 22%, poultry, like 16 or 17%, just all across the board. Of course, inflation's been running 9+%. The prediction is by this time next year to be down maybe 3 to 4%. Keep in mind, inflation coming down doesn't mean prices coming down. It means prices aren't increasing as fast as they were before. So prices are still going to go up. They're just going to hopefully go up at a slower rate than what they have been. That's what we mean when we say inflation is coming down. Anyway, we set our food budget in August of 2021, back before we knew we were going to have 9% inflation. As of October 31st, we were $90,000 over on our food budget. Now, that's a lot of money. One of my responsibilities is to try to exercise some fiscal restraint and stay within our budgets that we set and the board approves. So I start to say the school board. Boy, that was a long time ago, isn't it? That our board approves. So, we've got to exercise some fiscal restraint here. And, if I can't afford to have filet mignon every night at my house, I don't know about you guys, but we can't afford to have filet mignon every night here at Butterfield either. So how much do we want to be over budget? Well, what number is acceptable to be over budget? 90,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000? Because I'm spending your money. So how much of your money do you want me to spend? Now, and I'm not actually answering that question, but I told Memo, I said, man, we're getting a little much here. We really need to try to exercise some physical restraint. I want you to cut back. I want you to try to stay somewhat closer to the budget rather than the average of $9,000 a month you're going over in food. Well, Memo did exactly what I told him. He cut back, and the quality of the food's gone down, and our variety's gone down, and the resident anger at that has gone up. So I've had to say, okay, wait a minute, we're going to have to take some reasonable approach to this here. So I went back to Memo and I said, Memo, the residents are going to revolt. They're about to hang me on Joy Street in effigy. We're going to have to do something to get the residents satisfied. We want you to go to the dining room and have food you enjoy eating, that's hot and nutritious, and you to have good conversation with good conversation with your neighbors, but I can't control that. You'll have to determine that, but we can control the food and the service. So anyway, we want you to have an enjoyable dining experience, and it's going to cost some money, and we're going to have to pay for it, and it's not going to be cheap. And I'm just telling you that up front. We're 90,000 over this year. Now, Kim, who our finance officer, she, of course, recognized the situation, and she increased our budget for food next year for our 2023 budget by $13,600 a month. So that is going to make a dramatic difference in our food quality and consistency. We're also having trouble getting product still, if you can believe it. Some of the product that we want to serve that we know and trust is no longer available, or we can't get, and we have to switch to a temporary another product temporarily. And sometimes this quality and consistency isn't there as what we expected. So that's also contributed to it. But we did increase our budget. Of course, the next topic is the monthly fee increases. That's one of the reasons why we had to have the 5% fee increase. I don't remember what the number is, 163,000 or something like that for the year. We're going to be probably 110,000 over budget this year when we're done, maybe a little more. So that'll eat up a lot of that increase, but maybe that increase will be enough to cover it. It'd be close. We might go over it, but I told Memo, I don't want to just strict adherence to the budget. If we have to go over a little bit to get the quality we need, then let's do that. But how much are we going to go over? Well, that's the answer I don't have. But we do have to have some fiscal restraint here. But we also need to provide a nutritious meal that you enjoy that's hot. So we went ahead and give the 5% monthly fee increases included raises to dining, housekeeping, CNAs, and nurses. See, the average CNA starting salary is $15, $16 an hour in Northwest Arkansas. The raise we just gave, using the 5% for 2023, we up to $15 an hour for CNAs is where we're at. So this doesn't fix the problem. We just halfway got back into the market. The market's 15 to 16. We're at the low end of the market even with the raise we just gave. These are the circumstances that we're facing, and we didn't want to do the 5% monthly fee increase. I'm just going to be honest with you. We worked and said, is there any way we cannot do this? And the answer was no. Utilities, labor, property insurance, I start to say taxes, but property insurance, our property insurance just gone through the roof. Liability insurance, everything. We're seeing this 9% plus across the board on all of our expenses. I'll be honest with you, I was really pleased that we could keep it at 5%. I was sweating it. I thought there's no way we're going to keep it at 5%. We're going to have to do more. We were able to do it, and Kim worked her magic, and we think we can get by with this. Now, 5% was the bare minimum we could have asked for. There's no way we could do any less than 5%. And if you wonder, or you're thinking, well, that's not right, they could have did less. I'm just going to be honest with you, and just up front, I hope I don't make you mad, but you don't understand the situation we're in. So, dang. One question that's come up is, why can't we spend some of our cash reserves on these operating and lower the monthly fee? Well, we get me some water there if you can. Anyway, doing so is, in my opinion, not a fiscal prudent move to make. It's actually physically irresponsible, in my opinion. Now, Jim Webster is working on a PowerPoint that he's going to give at Monday night's forum. That's going to go through this in detail. We don't have time this morning, and it's quite complicated. But anyway, so tune in to forum Monday evening, and Jim Webster will fill you in on that. But what we can do is we can use these monies to invest in U.S. Treasury bonds that are secure. And I probably said that wrong, Larry. It's notes, bonds, whichever one of those. One of those things where you invest in, you get your money back in 2 years plus your interest. The interest can be used to pay our operating expenses and keep our monthly fees lower. Well, thanks, Chris. And we did that, and they have kept our fees lower this year. So hang on a minute. Without this interest, we were probably looking at a 7 to maybe 7.5% increase in monthly fees. So we did use this money to invest and get interest and keep our fees lower. That was, quite honestly, the only way we were able to keep it at 5%. So I was actually, like I said, very pleased that we were able to do that. And with that, I'm through with those three topics, and I hope that gives you some peace of mind. If you've been worrying about these things, I would ask you to please stop. We're working on them and attempting to get dining back where we want it. The fee increase was as minimal we could do, and construction we're trying to get caught up on. I have one more quick item, and then I wanted to let you know about, and then Miss Helen is going to come up, and we're going to talk about the flu and some COVID issues. But the healthcare hallway floor, this is the main floor in our healthcare. It's not the resident rooms, but just the main hallway. That floor we put down in 2016 is coming up through a variety of issues, and it's reached the point that it's unsafe and has to be replaced. Fortunately, the cost of doing that turned out to be a lot less than I thought it would be. I was expecting around $100,000, and the quote's around $55,000. So I was really, in a weird way, pleased at that. It's one of those things, the floor is warranted, but the manufacturer says it's not a manufacturer problem. It's go to the installer. Well, the installer says you only had a 1-year warranty, so we don't cover it either. So needless to say, we won't be using that installer to put in the new floor. So anyway, we're hoping to do the work. I don't have an exact date. We're hoping early, mid-December to do this work, have it done before the holidays. If not, we'll kick it till after the holidays and do it in January. But what we'll have to do is we're going to have to close off one hallway at a time in healthcare and take off the old floor, strip it down to the concrete, the old glue and stuff underneath it. We think the issue was bad glue that just didn't hold. And we're going to have to clean all that off and then put down a new sealant and put down a new floor. When we block off the hallways, we're going to have to move residents around, and we'll have to have new traffic patterns. So if you have a person, loved one or spouse or a friend in healthcare, there will be some disruptions, and you may have to walk in a different area than you do to go visit them. When we do this west hallway, which is where we come in from the normal hallway there by therapy, when we block that off, we'll have to walk outside and walk around. There'll be no help for that. The contractor says he can get it done 3 or 4 days, we think. So hopefully it'll just be temporary. But we'll announce and let you know as we get closer what the exact schedules is going to be. And with that, I'll ask Miss Helen, would you come up? And we've had to. The flu is rearing its ugly head really bad. Of course, we knew it was coming. And this won't be a surprise to any of you, but the flu and COVID still here, and RSV and things. So Miss Helen's going to talk to us a little bit about those.
Thank you, Quentin. Actually, I'm not going to talk quite so much about those particular infectious diseases as an arrangement we have made that we hope then will support the residents. Now, in spite of the fact that COVID virus metrics are going in the right direction, by that I mean the number of serious COVID infections are declining, it also remains true that people are still being hospitalized and dying from this virus. Furthermore, people with even mild infections or breakthrough infections are developing what we call long COVID, which seriously impairs a person's health for months to come and sometimes even for their lifetime. In addition, the World Health Organization and CDC have issued warnings to the effect that in the coming fall and winter seasons, the U.S. may see a considerable spike in the cases of flu, the respiratory syncytial virus, which mostly affects children but can affect our age group, and new variants of COVID. For these reasons, I recently called a meeting of the BTV Virus Committee and asked the committee members to focus on several relevant issues, and it is one of these issues that I want to bring to your attention today. Recently, one Friday afternoon, a friend of mine came to me because she had just been informed that she had had a contact with a positive case of COVID. So she was frantically looking for a way to get tested. She doesn't drive. There was no BTV transportation available. The USMS BTV clinic would not allow her to come there, and neither would our resident care office. She had some COVID tests herself, but they were out of date. So in short, it appeared that she could not get a much needed test. Unfortunately, she did get tested, which turned out to be negative, by borrowing a test kit from a neighbor. But it remains true, if she had been positive, she would have exposed a number of different people as she circulated trying to find a test. I found this to be an untenable situation for BTV residents, so I posed the following questions to my committee. First, could we devise a plan to involve our resident care staff in making COVID tests available to residents when needed? The answer to that question turned out to be yes. Now, ideally, we reason, resident care staff should be able to both supply a COVID test kit and actually do the test for the resident, on the resident. However, because the staff person doing the testing would be required to wear full protective gear, a gown, an N95 mask, and gloves, this would be very impractical. So our final solution was this. After much deliberation and discussion, the following plan was developed. One, and this is a procedure. Any resident who has had a known contact with a positive case of COVID or is experiencing COVID-like symptoms, that resident should be tested for COVID. If the resident needs a test kit but does not have one, the resident should call, not go to, resident care and request a kit. In addition, the resident is strongly advised to also call their family doctor if they test positive or have any symptoms. Secondly, a person from resident care or security will deliver the test kit to the resident's door box, or in the case of the cottages or village homes, to the front door. The exact protocol for the delivery will be explained when you talk to resident care. The resident should, as soon as possible after the delivery, self-administer the test. Do not expect the staff person to do the test for you for reasons I have already explained. Third, in this protocol, The resident should immediately report the results of the test to the resident care office, regardless of whether it is positive or negative. Depending on the test results, resident care will inform the resident of the appropriate follow-up procedures. If a resident happens to be unable to self-administering the test, the resident should assume that he or she is positive and remain in isolation for 5 days. After 5 days, the resident may end the isolation if asymptomatic, but wear a mask for 5 days when in contact with other people. The resident care is required to report positive tests to either Patricia Portner or Quentin Trammell, so you would be relieved as a resident of having to do that for yourself. Now, we believe this procedure will not only be of benefit to BTV residents, which really is the main purpose, but also should streamline and provide greater accuracy to BTV COVID data. Right now, the data may not be entirely accurate because when people do their at-home tests, regardless of the result of that test, they don't always report it. So we don't know at any given time for sure who has taken the test and who certainly has tested positive. So keep in mind that resident care is the go-to place in Butterfield if you need to be tested for a possible COVID infection. Now, in addition, you need to know there will be a charge of $11 for each test kit, which will be added to your monthly fee automatically. Now, I have an addendum to this. I need to make quite clear that it is your prerogative as a resident to either obtain the test from resident care or from another source. Other sources you may be aware of, but let me enumerate them for you. One, of course, is Medicare. Another is personal health insurance, so if you get a test and pay for it and keep that receipt and turn it in, most health insurances will cover this for you. Pharmacies certainly will. And the government agency, Health and Human Services, have also agreed to continue their offering of free tests to U.S. citizens. Information as to how to access these sources for COVID tests, most of which are free, can be found on the internet. And this is very important. If a resident uses a test kit from a source other than resident care, the resident remains obligated to report test results to resident care so we can keep accurate data of what's happening with our residents in regard to COVID here at Butterfield. Now, for the health and protection of BT residents, all positive cases of COVID and flu should be reported to resident care. As I mentioned earlier, initially the plan I have just presented to you was formulated by the Virus Committee, but before it could be approved and implemented, it had to go through additional steps. Everything is always complicated here at Butterfield. I want to name and thank the people who were critically involved in the final steps of approval and implementation of this plan. First of all, Quentin Trammell, as you know, our CEO, he is also a member of the Virus Committee. Patricia Portner, Director of Resident Services. Mike Wright, our new Director of Healthcare. Beth Van Robel, Chair of the Resident Care Committee and also a member of the Virus Committee. And Tony Morgan, Director of Nursing. Tony Morgan deserves special mention because she willingly took on the responsibility of educating and supervising the resident care staff in regard to their very central role in this plan. Now, please take note of this. The plan which I've just described will not take effect until December the 5th. After that, feel free to go to resident care for your help with COVID. Now, because it would be unreasonable to expect you to remember all of the specifics of this procedure, which I've just told you about, We will make this information available via the usual BTV information channels. In the meantime, have a wonderful holiday season, but keep in mind the enhanced chances of viral transmission and take the necessary precautions.
We are out of time, so I'll do a couple of quick things and then we'll wrap up for this month. But one thing I want to clarify on what Helen said, resident care is your primary contact for COVID information, or if you have symptoms or need to report that you've tested positive. She said that resident care was your go-to place. Well, don't go to resident care if you've tested positive or you have symptoms. So I don't want you giving it to resident care, but resident care is your primary contact. So call them if you need a test or if you need to report results. Of course, obviously, always check with your physician and keep your physician or healthcare provider informed of what you're doing. So while we're sitting here, I was getting some text, and I was asked to announce that the resident council is conducting a Christmas purse and accepting donations for the Christmas purse. I think a memo went out, and it's on the channel, in-house TV channel 1961. So you'll check your mailboxes for the memo or check the TV channel, but they are accepting donations for the Christmas purse. As you know, this is very beneficial, and our employees really look forward to this every year. So please keep that in mind when you're thinking with whether you wish to donate. Question in the back? Beth? Yeah. And let me repeat Beth's comment so that people in TV land can hear us. You really don't want to buy the test from resident care. You can get them free. Your Medicare will provide them. You can request them from the government. So if you really keep a stock of tests in your apartment, so you can use them when you need them. The reason we have to charge you the $11 for these is we can't bill the Medicare for this sort of thing. So, but you can get them through Medicare if you buy them from your pharmacy. So if you're like Colliers will deliver, so you can just have them delivered here. There's lots and lots of sources to get them from free. So you really don't want to buy them from us. But if you absolutely can't get one someplace else, you're just really sick, you can't get out, whatever the situation may be, there are some available here. We're just going to keep a small quantity of like 10 boxes. So, if every resident starts going down to resident care trying to get a box, we're going to sell out real quick. And that's not what they're for, because if you're feeling well, just pick up a box when you're at Walmart or from your pharmacy. So this is just for those, we anticipate a handful of residents who just under whatever circumstances can't get a test from someplace else. So obviously you don't want to pay for one when you get it from free someplace else. So, Rick? The question is will the procedure for getting a test be on telegraph? Probably. We didn't actually talk about that, but I don't know why not. I think there will be a memo that will be put out. So watch for a memo, or we could put it on Kelly has got her hand up over here. Yeah, we'll do telegraph, and we'll do our put a memo on our resident portal, may even run one on TV or something. Helen, did you have a comment? Yeah. No. Yes, ma'am. Okay. the comment was, or question is that residents this year didn't get a turkey like Butterfield has given them in the past. In the past, Butterfield has provided a turkey for Thanksgiving for each resident as just a thank you and a token. I'm sorry, to employees. Okay, let me start again. In the past, we've given all of our staff a turkey for Thanksgiving as a note of appreciation. Turkeys this year have just gone through the roof. They're short supply. There's been a avian flu. A lot of birds have had to been put down, but the price of turkeys has just skyrocketed. So what we decided, and also some people don't really want a turkey. You know, I don't eat turkey. I don't eat a whole lot of it. So, you know, me with a turkey, I always just wind up taking mine to the food bank usually, but anyway, or giving it to friends or family. But what we decided to do this year was give everybody a $20 gift card. So, yeah, and they can use the gift card to offset their Christmas or Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner cost. I don't know. I've advanced forward to Christmas already. I skipped Thanksgiving, but anyway, they can use that to offset their cost or spending at Walmart, whatever they want. But in addition to that, we had talking about a pie. We had residents step up and donate the money, and every employee was also giving a pie. Ironically enough. So not only did employees get a gift card, but they also got a pie as well. So we hope that they appreciate that, and thank you for the residents who stepped forward to donate that. So, Memo, did you have any comments? I see Memo came in. So. Well, you don't have to talk if you don't want.
I was going to come up here and tell you that there wasn't going to be any turkey for Thanksgiving this year. And that's not a joke. Fortunately enough, I've made some deals, and I just got into town just now, and the truck followed me, and we were able to get the turkeys necessary for today. So it's been a long night. We got turkey for Thanksgiving, so there is a issue with Thanksgiving turkeys everywhere across the U.S., and just trying to find them and allocate them has been a very big challenge. A lot of them won't be doing turkey in a lot of places. I mean, every place that you can think of that's doing turkey right now probably won't be doing turkey for Thanksgiving. So it's going to be a ham year. But fortunately enough, I got enough, hopefully just enough, that we will have turkey for Thanksgiving. And I know that because I just brought that truck in. So.
Well, I was glad I didn't say anything because I didn't know. Memo talked to me yesterday and said or maybe the day before, but anyway, he was having trouble getting turkeys. And I said, well, how do you feel about ham? But anyway, he said that he was trying to work some stuff, so apparently it's gone through, so I'm glad to hear that. So we're over our time, so we're going to dismiss today. So have a happy Thanksgiving, and our December town hall meeting will be 1 week earlier than it normally is because of the holidays as well. So today is 1 week earlier than normal. December will be what day, Ricky? It will be Friday the 16th. Will be our December town hall meeting. So, but and good Lord willing, I'll see you then. So.